Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Deceptilab. This your boy Freeze, and in place of the weekly live stream this week, I got this premiere video set up. I actually got somewhere that I gotta be at 6:30 today. So normally, I start from 6 and go to about 7. But I did not want to miss out on an opportunity to share any new content with you guys because there's a lot going on in the game right now. And so, some of the things we'll talk about today, there's some updates that have been made to Predaking. I introduced him last week during the live stream. And I just want to let you know how that playtest process is going. It's actually looking really good. And I want to talk about some tactics that I might use in regards to the new Predaking and Volcanicus, especially regarding their 5-star ability and some of the changes they made to the 2, 3, and 4-star ability. So we'll talk about that, and we will also talk about this new combats that are coming to the game. So we'll talk about those. It's I play tested it a little bit, but it'll be really a first look for you guys. So we'll see what I think is good at, what I think is bad at, what my advice is going to be in play test and stuff like that. And we will also have a 5-star batch reveal today. So I know everybody always gets excited about 5-star batches, so definitely wanted to make sure that I put out content to discuss my thoughts about that as well. So all in all, should be a really, really fun filled. Um, fun filled, well, not stream, but you know, fun filled video. I'm looking forward to it. I am going to set this one up so that we can still have the live chat going. So all in all, a good time. Before we talk about any of that stuff, let's go ahead and take a look at this week's newsletter. All right, so this week's event is called Back to Basics. It is week 3 of the saga, and so we got an individual totalizer, 10K, and so some of the prizes you can win: 40K warrior class crystals. You can get War for Cybertron skin cool, 2.5K 4-star shards, 7.5K 3-star shards, and then you can get 4 of your 500K Troop XP items, uh, up to 350K Spark, and up to 2 million of your Alloy and Energon. So here's the prize chart. Overall, not bad. So it's quite a bit for 10K. Not bad. I always like the class specific. Um, I like those quite a bit. I like the combiner ones. I think everybody likes the combiner ones the most, but like class specific kind of whittles it down so you can get some of those class shards and you can just get some of the, and it kind of constricts the amount of bots that you get in a little bit too. So definitely like those. Nice, easy going event. Regular prizes, regular battle zones. And then we got some of our game updates and information. So this week, um, as I mentioned earlier, they told everybody to check out us content creators because we're going to be showing a lot of new stuff right now. Uh, Definitely feel like the beginning of the year is starting out right in regards to new content coming from Transformers Earth Wars. So looking forward to seeing what happens, especially as we go to this new studio. So that'll be fun. Let's see, we got war rewards. We're at 3 times rewards last week, which honestly it probably came at the wrong time for me because I kept maxing out Spark and I just kept throwing Spark at just random bots. But bots that I'll use eventually. But yeah, so that's over with this week. Um, so hopefully everybody had a good time just doing some wars and getting the additional rewards and stuff last week. Like I mentioned, Volcanicus and Predaking, um, the 5-star version is coming. Um, they said, the Transformers Earth Wars team said that they don't have much to update you on so far. But Dale's been working really, really hard, and he's been making changes as pretty much as the playtesters see fit. And I was having a conversation in my Discord the other day, and I was saying sometimes they try to push that boundary a little bit too far, and I said I might have pissed a couple of people off. Um, but I'm okay with that. But I, there's a balancing point, and when you're not really adding anything to the defensive meta, I always try to look at everything for a balancing standpoint, but you'd also want to make it usable in the future. You don't want the content to just die. Um, so I do share that sentiment with a lot of people. The issue that I have a lot of times is trying to push it to be too powerful because we're comparing one bot to the next, or one combiner to the next in this case. And we'll talk about that when we talk about Volcanicus and Predaking. But anyway, um, just one of those things. They're not rushing through anything. We still got a few weeks before he comes out. Um, and if you still have any actual advice, not just gripes and complaints about it, but if you got any actual advice on how we should proceed, let me know. You can let me know in the chat. You can let me know by leaving a comment. And you know, your comments are always welcome. It might not always give you the response that you want, but I definitely do enjoy talking to everybody and just sharing different viewpoints. Sometimes my viewpoints will be very, very strong, and I encourage you to do the same thing. So, all right, best of the year for 2024. So, there gonna be some bundles coming into the game for that. Gonna have some extra character crystals, shards, and G1 power core chips. So for 2024, they said the top sellers were Leo Prime and Predacon Inferno, Beachcomber and Deluge, Orion Packs and D16, and then Vector and Nova Prime. Um, so yeah, definitely a good chance to collect all of that stuff. But if you don't have those G1s and character shards or anything like that, I happen to have 3 of those bots maxed out. Yeah, I happen to have 3 of those bots maxed out. So um, yeah, I didn't go for Orion Packs and D16. That was the only one I didn't go for. All right, Cyber Pass skin. I, I thought they did impact her already. I might be wrong. But that's what they got up there in the newsletter is the Cyber Pass skin. Saga schedule right now. Like I mentioned, this week is the individual totalizer, and even though the score is not 500k, it's 10k, and so yeah, we're looking at that. And then next week is going to be the individual leaderboard. So you get a opportunity at the 5-star combat coming up. You also top 10's got a chance at the binary bond equipment or BBE, and we'll take a look at that combat a little bit tonight so we can see how good it is or isn't, and if it's something that you're interested in going for. I don't know what the event is actually going to be like in terms of how many points you got to get just to get the 4-star and everything. I can't remember what they did last time. I probably should have looked it up before I got on video, but I'll probably go for the 4-star. I will say that based on what I've seen so far, and then we'll get to discuss whether or not we should make some changes to it. And then weeks 5, 6, and 7, they're still wide open. We'll see how that goes. And then we get endurance coming, which I still don't have any details on that bot yet. So hopefully we'll get that soon. Be sure to check out all your content creators. Your official ones are myself, Soldier, and Sunstreaker Waza. And one thing I was saying earlier today, I actually had a conversation with Dale about it earlier. If you guys hadn't seen like some of these other creators, especially guys like CF Tactics has been making some awesome, or the channel's called CF Tactics, but CF has been making some amazing content. I'm trying to I'm trying to make that push to get him up there to official content creator status. So man, make sure you check out his stuff and any other content creators. If you are in the chat, um, go ahead and feel free to shoot your links and everything because definitely want to push for some guys to. Well, it's good. It's a good thing. You get lots of different viewpoints when you have a lot of content creators. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Community corner, nice artwork as always. Wow, that concept art here really came out nice. And then lastly, so next week, Space Ape is going to have their team stream, and So make sure you check that out and start getting your questions ready because there's a lot of content coming out right now. I think it's a good time uh, to have them show it off and just to go ask them direct questions about their process because a lot of times it's a lot of things that we want or we think we want. Um, the team will have a really good reason for why they proceed the way they do with some of the content. So I always like to go in there and just see what they're talking about. And that's all we got for the news this week. Let's start talking about the changes that got made to Volcanicus and Predaking. All right, let's talk about the update that we get to our 5-star Predaking. And I just want to go through the abilities and the changes that happen to the abilities. This is a graphic that I made that a lot of you guys that are on my Discord, I keep a library of stuff primarily because folks just usually ask me about when something came out or s- just random questions. So I just kind of keep that so it's something that we can scroll through as a reference point. And one of the things that I have in there is all the stuff about new combiners. So in this case, there are some changes that got made to our new 5-star Predaking and Volcanicus. And primarily because some of the stuff is the changes are just because you had Titan effects in play and it was increasing the fire damage. So, like Infernium Blade, for example, where you see that it's still going to strike enemies in a small area for X damage. But in this case, we had it last week at 2.8k. You still, if you have your Titan effects running for the fire damage, you're still going to wind up getting your 2.8k. Um, but the base damage is 2,139. So upon impact, fire a flame wave in front of you, dealing 2,139 fire damage and knocking back all enemies in its path. Enemies already on fire take double damage from leap and the flame wave. So, very solid 2-star ability. One of the concerns that came up in playtest with this particular ability is that the range wasn't as good as, say a God Neptune and Ruination. The response we get is everything's going to have some weaknesses. They wanted this one to be a combiner that's kind of up close and personal, just dealing lots of damage to your outpost bots, combiners, even and the base. But when I look at that second ability, the 3-star ability we got down there, Fire and Brimstone, when you look at that tooltip, it's saying set enemies on fire within a cone, deal 623 fire damage. And then 3 times now to outpost bots and combiners for 8 seconds. So that's my favorite ability out of all 4 of them, just because it directly affects your combiners and outpost bots. You know you're going to fight them every battle. And so for me, uh, there's definitely value added there for that reason. Um, Now, this ability, the Fire and Brimstone ability, it was at ×6 damage to outpost bots and combiners. Um, the day after I made the stream, it went down to 5 times, and the team was like, it's still too high, and they dropped it down to 3. But when you think about it, at 623 fire damage, and so that's every second for 8 seconds. You're walking around with a healthy amount of damage. I think I had it calculated a little bit over 15k. So we're going to take a look at all of these in a little bit because I do want to talk some tactics because I got a lot of comments last week saying how fragile it was, and even in playtest I talked about it last week. We were saying, hey, it's kind of fragile, but when you look at something that's going to be a really really strong damage dealer, um, for a balancing point, you gotta see how much health you actually want it to have. So here, we're just looking at the ability to just putting out massive damage to outpost bots and combiners. I think there's some strategies that are going to go along with that really well. So the 4-star ability, Extinction, reads bombard an area with meteors, dealing 641 fire damage per second for 12 seconds. Stand in with your within your raining meteors grants you 60% damage reduction. Now, if I remember correctly, I want to say that one was originally at 80%, which, 80% of damage reduction it is a lot, but it is giving you a decent amount of damage reduction. Like I said, this guy does so much damage. Yeah, let me scroll through. Yeah, so yeah, the new what was actually doing a life steal at first, and I believe it was doing 80 percent, and now it's down to 60, but it still works really well. So I'm gonna show you guys here that in a minute. And then you also have your 5-star ability, Empower Megatronus. For 20 seconds, surround yourself with the Empowered Megatronus. It grants you 50% attack speed boost, 30% damage reduction, and deals 418 fire damage over 8 seconds. And then you're going to get, after death of the combiner, your bots are going to get a level 20 Megatronus effect applied to your bots for 15 seconds. So overall, this is it's pretty solid. Let's go ahead and take a look at it on the battlefield. Now, when I look at this, the abilities on this particular combiner, one of the things that I was looking at, and I'm actually going to go up against a tough base because, well, I could do it on base trial. I'll fight a teammate. But one of the things that I was looking at was just different strategies we could use to make this worthwhile. And I think that most of us have gotten used to just diving in with the ability and kind of just clearing everything out really fast. And this is going to be a little bit different from that in that regard, only because we we've gotten used to just attacking bases with combiners a certain way, and this is where the conflict came in because one of the things we were looking at was a base like Cicadas where you might not be able to just jump up to the top of the base, and that does have an effect on if you're doing events, if you're trying to use your combiner for your events. So a lot of them get a little bit more range, you know. And I got all the well, Cicada actually, whose base I'm fighting right now, had a lot of input, but it's just like, oh, okay, well, if you make certain style bases, time traps, and everything like that, you might not be able to jump far enough, and that becomes a concern, particularly for events. And for a little bit, I was thinking about it, and you can see there, like I'm still not able to jump. If I was using some of my other combiners, I would be able to jump, catch a corner there, and then go up the battlefield. So that is a thing for concern. But as you look at his health, and it's not anything crazy down there where you should be just getting completely cleared out. Um, his health kind of isn't built for that anyway. Like I feel like it's built for war. But with that said, I think timing is going to be you're going to have to time it really well. I think it's going to be something that we use that's got to be really really tactical with. And so a lot of times when I'm looking at the back of these bases and they got Beachcomber and they got Deluge and back here in this case he's got a combiner back there. One of the things I was thinking about was that I want to use this for war. I might not use it for events. I might continue to use God Neptune for events, and I would love to have more combiners to just be able to just go through and rip through events with. I don't think this is going to be it, but what I can do is go run my squad. And see, this is actually a good setup because he's got some hacking going on there with Cosmos, which is really gonna affect how my team performs there. So it's actually a nice layout to try to illustrate exactly what he was talking about is that the problem is it's going to take you a minute to get back up there to the top of that base. And I actually wish I should have talked to him ahead of time so you could have put this Goldie back here in the back. But one of the things I was really looking at was how this dude affects outpost bots. Now, normally what I would have done is I'd have used my Nova Prime, which is Vector Prime for you guys on the Autobot side, and I would have tried to carry it up to the top. But it does become kind of limiting because right now I don't really want to use my 4 and 5 star ability, the ones that are going to give me the damage reduction, because I destroyed a bunch of stuff up top. And this empowered Mechatronus, doesn't really have any range for it. But if I want him to survive, I'll use these abilities. So here I got his meteor shower, and then I'm going to go hit these guys with fire and brimstone so I can get them down quickly. And what it does is really good because now they're already on fire. I'll double down with the sword. So I think you have to put yourself in a position where you're using the abilities to have shielding first, or damage reduction, I should say. If you use those first, he's going to have quite a bit of longevity, and if you combo your abilities well, you're actually going to have a lot of longevity there. Even though he's still kind of having a little bit of a hard time there. Well, not a hard time, I would say, but he's putting up quite a fight there against Beachcomber, and primarily because of his combat rejuvenating him as well. But overall, I think it's coming along pretty good. Let me know in the chat or in the comment section what you think, if there's any improvements that really need to be made. Now, when I look at this, the abilities on this particular combiner, one of the things that I was looking at, and I'm actually going to go up against a tough base because, well, I could do it on base trial. I'll fight a teammate. But one of the things that I was looking at was just different strategies we could use to make this worthwhile. And I think that most of us have gotten used to just diving in with the ability and kind of just clearing everything out really fast. And this is going to be a little bit different from that in that regard, only because we've gotten used to just attacking bases with combiners a certain way, and this is where the conflict came in, because one of the things we were looking at was a base like Jakeda's, where you might not be able to just jump up to the top of the base, and that does have an effect on if you're doing events, if you're trying to use your combiner for your events. So a lot of them get a little bit more range, you know. And I got all the Jakeda, actually, whose base I'm fighting right now, had a lot of input, but it's just like, oh, okay, well, if you make certain style bases, time traps and everything like that, you might not be able to jump far enough. And that becomes a concern, particularly for events. And for a little bit, I was thinking about it, and you can see there, like, I'm still not able to jump. If I was using some of my other combiners, I would be able to jump, catch a corner there, and then go up the battlefield. So that is a thing for concern. But as you look at his health, and it's not anything crazy down there where he should be just getting completely cleared out. Um, his health kind of isn't built for that anyway. Like, I feel like it's built for war. But with that said, I think timing is going to be, you're going to have to time it really well. I think it's going to be something that we use that's got to be really, really tactical with. And so a lot of times when I'm looking at the back of these bases and they got Beachcomber and they got Deluge and back here in this case he's got a combiner back there. One of the things I was thinking about was that I want to use this for war. I might not use it for events. I might continue to use God Neptune for events, and I would love to have more combiners to just be able to just go through and rip through events with. I don't think this is going to be it, but what I can do is go run my squad. And see, this is actually a good setup because he's got some hacking going on there with Cosmos, which is really gonna affect how my team performs there. So it's actually a nice layout to try to illustrate exactly what he was talking about. Is that the problem is, it's gonna take you a minute to get back up there to the top of that base. And I actually wish I should have talked to him ahead of time so he could have put this um, Goldie back here in the back. But one of the things I was really looking at was how this dude affects outpost bots. Now, normally what I would have done is I'd have used my Nova Prime, which is Vector Prime for you guys on the Autobot side, and I would have tried to carry it up to the top. But it does become kind of limiting because right now I don't really want to use my 4 and 5 star ability, the ones that are going to give me the damage reduction because I destroyed a bunch of stuff up top. And this empowered Mechatronus, doesn't really have any range for it. But if I want him to survive, I'll use these abilities. So here I got his meteor shower, and then I'm going to go hit these guys with fire and brimstone so I can get them down quickly. And what it does is really good because now they're already on fire. I'll double down with the sword. So I think you have to put yourself in a position where you're using the abilities to have shielding first, or damage reduction, I should say. If you use those first, he's going to have quite a bit of longevity, and if you combo your abilities well, you're actually going to have a lot of longevity there. Even though he's still kind of having a little bit of a hard time there. Well, not a hard time, I would say, but he's putting up quite a fight there against Beachcomber, and primarily because of his combat rejuvenating him as well. But overall, I think it's coming along pretty good. Let me know in the chat or in the comment section what you think, if there's any improvements that really need to be made. Now I want to talk about our newest combat bot that's coming to the game. And so for the Decepticons, we're going to be getting Sunbeam, and on the Autobot side, you're going to be getting Styler. And the tool tip here reads: shoot targets from very long range and prioritize defenses. Every 10 seconds, fire a shot that reduces attack range of enemies in a small area by 60% for 10 seconds. So in my mind, I'm seeing this as something that's going to be used for. I'm, I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to try to use it on defense, just because I can see it causing lots of pathing problems. Think of it as like the dazzle effect, where you start to reduce uh, how far you can shoot. So um, definitely can be used on offense as well. But most of the really good offensive combats and weapons have some kind of damage increase to them, and depending on whether you're willing to sacrifice that or not, is one thing. But we will try it out on offense. Right now we've got this 5 star version and ability 10. Let's take a look at that before we go add the level 11 to it. So just to demonstrate what it does, I'll go into the prime zone and we can actually see it. Or you might have saw it already um, if you caught this when it was live, because I'm actually breaking this up into different videos so that people can just kind of look at just the particular thing they want to look at from the stream. That, and I like to break everything down into for my library on Discord. But so I've got Sunbeam attached to Wild Rider here, and I just want to take a look at what he's doing. Now I accidentally deploy Octo Punch there, but one of the things I'm looking at is every 10 seconds it's going to shoot this shot that's going to disable, not disable, but it's going to, and you can actually see the animation there, reduce the range. And then, it's going to prioritize defenses. Overall, it's going to be pretty good, I feel like. Um, but I may use it on defense myself, just to. I think it's going to be possibly a little bit more effective. I can see like those guys that use breakneck and smoke screen in the back or something like that. But offensively, it's going to focus on actual defenses. And you can see it kind of shot past like some of your energon harvesters and, collection points there. Storage, I should say. It's just focusing on just hitting defenses, but it's keeping them pretty far back. So what I want to do is I want to go back and I want to look at what he I did not realize that I didn't have Wild Rider maxed out on the test server. But one of the things I wanted to actually look at is I wanted to look at this dude's level 11. And I always hesitate when I say ability 11 because bots have ability 11s, and I always get into arguments with folks about it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's level 11, and so the change here is going to be how much it reduces the range. So in this case, it's going to go from 60% to 73% with level 11, and that's going to be pretty significant if you are attacking anything that has long range capabilities. Now, for me, I think I want to use this dude on defense. I'll do that in a minute, but I also want to go look at him at level 11 on offense to see what it does. I think it's going to be something that we use more on defense, and ultimately, I'm okay with that. Um, but I'm not quite convinced that, like, if this would have just been a normal release, cool. I don't know if this is a leaderboard event release for me. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't matter to me anyway because I do not plan on hitting leaderboards. But you can already see this missile launcher right there initially was shooting at me, but when he used that range reduction every 10 seconds, and because he stays so far back, he was able to only take like one hit from that missile launcher. So looking at it that way, it could be effective on offense too, just depending on circumstances, depending on your path then, and depending on a lot of different variables. I don't necessarily know I'm going to depend on it that heavily on offense. I do want to try it on defense though. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. But, as always, let me know what you think about it. I think it's going to be pretty cool, and I'm glad to have it. I'll go for it because I've been putting off pulling SB Megatron because I've been prioritizing weapons. But I will be excited to come swing back around and get this combat. I will say that just because I always like having those defensive options. So let me see if I can actually put him on Nemesis Prime. And Don't mind the setup. I know everybody always wants to stop and be like, "Hey, what about the setup?" Let me see if I can use him there. So this might be one that I gotta use on an actual like gunner or something like that. So actually, that's a good question. Let's go see who he can equip to, so I can figure out a good place to put him, and that'll probably actually help us out in deciding who he might go well on. I don't like to say best setup. Yeah, you gotta use what you got at some point within reason, and that's one of the reasons why I made the channel in the first place. So, all right, so it looks like we got a handful of gunners in here we can use, many of which, because my account got imported, that I won't even be able to use. And I think that might be that might be the tipping point where you not necessarily gonna use him because he's going on all these gunners. Now, I think if you use him on somebody like, say, Breakneck, who I need to add in here as a I need to add him in. Oh, I need to level him up on here, and I need to add him as a 5-star on this test account because I don't have him on the live account. I think that's what's going to become. Um, I think that's going to be the go-to guy that I might use him on defense. But since I don't have him, what I'll do is I'll actually come back, and even though I don't see him often, I want to put Wild Rider in there just to see how it looks, and I'll stick a couple of gunners in there just for the sake of seeing how he performs against my gunners. All right, so I'll hit a base trial here. I'd like to see him available to some special class, though, to be honest with you, because I think there'll be some value that comes with that. If that makes sense. And that'll probably be my suggestion. My suggestion would be to let him go on to the special class that can equip guns also, and I think we got a winner at that point. All right, so I'll put down a couple of my gunners and my 9 warriors to see what happens. And I drop Octo to the side to see what he does. And it looks like he kind of got stuck there. So I actually want to try that again because it looked like he wouldn't go forward. Like he was kind of stuck there on the wall. And so we might have a couple of drawbacks. And then, as I hadn't tested him too much. I just got to see what he could do. But it might be some room for improvement here, especially for me. Like, I want to see him go on some of the special class that typically can equip guns. So I'll actually play normally this time, clear out some stuff here in the front. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough sell if we keep it that way. Now, typically, I'll have a bot like that in the back, but I think I'm gonna have to actually go play back around, go get like breakneck leveled up, and just kind of see what we got in that regard. But overall, with a few minor tweaks, I think we might actually have something there that's really good. The concept itself is good, and I'll fill out my survey, see if what we can get moving, and hopefully have them something that's have something that's ready to go ahead of next week's event. So definitely looking forward to working with this dude a little bit, and let me know what you think. in the chat or in the comments um, for what kind of changes you want to see for a combat like that. Now I know everybody's excited about this one, um, but we now have the list of all the bots that are going to be in the 5-star batch 17, and I'm just going to go ahead and start out with the first ones. Now, one in particular, I think is going to be exciting for everybody, for a multitude of reasons. But the first one that we're going to talk about, and I'm not going to be demonstrating because we haven't changed anything yet. We're just going to talk about who's in the batch, and the first one is going to be Mind Wipe and Cosmos. And I'm going to start off by saying, in playtest, as soon as we get the list, one thing a lot of people were talking about was that, what bots are war worthy, and the con the comment got made by one tester, well, absolutely none of these bots are war worthy. Uh, and I'm paraphrasing, you might not, but one thing that I'll say is, and you guys have heard me say it before if you've been watching my channel for a while, is that war worthy, I think I've grown to hate the term, and the reason why I've grown to hate the term is because people will say war worthy, and what they really mean is, oh well, better than every bot to ever be in that bot class or to perform that particular function. And for me, as a playtester, all I'm looking for is for it to be balanced and usable in the current meta. Um, I think that's good, and I think Mind Wipe. I think he does that. Uh, Back when they first made the rework, Suntrika Waza came out with a strategy to use him against Beachcomber and Deluge. I personally don't do it, but I've seen other people do it, and it does work. Um, so that alone, if you want to talk about war worthiness, I think that falls into that category. He's good on defense. He's got good G1s, and so for everybody that didn't get to participate in that event to be able to pick him up, I think he can be an asset in some capacity or another. And yeah, so um, looking forward to him going out into the batch. And so we want to talk about the next set of bots. That's our first bot in the batch. The next one is also going to be a legacy batch rework coming out of the warrior class, and that's going to be Iron Bison. Kill Bison because Terror might be watching somewhere. But Iron Bison and Lightspeed are coming into the batch, and this will be the second batch in a row where we actually got legacy bots in the batch. And I think that's just where we're at with the game. I think we're at the point where you know um, you've built so many bots over the years. Now, personally, I've been saying this a while for a few months now. I just want to get rid of batches, period. I think that if you go have an event for a bot and a saga later, 8 weeks later, you're in the same spot in that saga. So say you make a legacy, say week 6, you have a legacy event. Week 6 of the next saga, just release the bot. Just like we do with, combats. Once you get to that same point, you just release the next one into the general batch, and then you don't have to worry about when's the batch coming out. It kind of sucked to hear um, when they didn't do a batch for the fourth quarter of this year. Just keep getting asked, when is this coming out? When's this coming out? Like I always tell everybody, content comes out when it comes out, but it would be nice to just be able to definitively say, hey, we're gonna let the paid players, the pay to play players, um, have their fun for a couple of months, and then and that'll give you an evaluation period. Those are the guys that usually have the most to say on Discord and the most feedback back and forth with the Transformers Earth Wars team. And I think that in this case, where Iron Bison, I don't think he needs any major rework. He can pop outposts now. He's got a really nice ability. Um, even though I like this original ability a lot, I just want him to not be so squishy with his original version. But I think that what he does is pretty cool. He's usable on defense. I've seen some people use him on offense. If they didn't come out with Vector Prime and Nova Prime so shortly after him, I probably would have used Iron Bison on my war team. To be honest with you, because he does do something that's of value to me, and he does it for what I would consider to be a reasonable cost. All right, so the next bot that's going to come into this batch, it is coming out of the air class, and I might not actually have him on my test server since it got reset. But let me see if I do. All right, so yeah, I got a 3-star in there. But Bomb Burst and Metal Hawk are gonna be coming to Transformers Earth Wars, and this one's catching popularity. Like when they first started talking about who's gonna be good in the batch, this is the first one that came to mind. Now I didn't go for him because the way that I wanted to use him, I wanted to use him to replace one of my build bot um, destroyers, and it's typically going to be an air class spot, right? But I tell you what, I started seeing some of the guys in G1 psyops start to kind of popularize, and I was actually, with Shanny being in playtest, Shanny 523 over there, the guy that's running psyops. We were having a conversation. And I was like, look, I wasn't calling you guys out, but you guys made this into a real popular bot, and now people are starting to use them. So I was, you know, I think most people are gonna enjoy this if they use any strategies involving what he does. Um, I think that I actually want to pull up his tooltip real quick for those who, because people have a tendency to, if they didn't go for the bot, they don't even know what he does. And I'll actually talk about it again later on. Um, but right now, it's just not really, it's just a reveal. And we'll see, because they might be changes that come along. Um, but this is another one reducing range. A lot of people don't see value in it. There's definitely value in it because if you're not getting shot at, that's a good thing. Um, so I'm looking forward to him. I want to get him just because I've seen so many strategies with him, and I missed that event. But for Bomb Burst, there are some problems with him in terms of his ability duration. It's actually been like much higher than it's supposed to have been. Um, there's problems with his G1 when the G1 ability is working when it's not supposed to be working. Um, so if you're using those exploits, prepare for those to go away. Dale's already put a lot of effort into um, identifying some of those bugs, and honestly, it's not been working in accordance with the tooltip. But most playtesters seem to think that it's still going to be really, really good when it comes out. So looking forward to that. All right, another one that we had, I believe he's special class. And I gotta have to scroll through here to see if I got him. And we'll have to get all the bots sent to us again and play test and so we can upgrade them. But I'm not sure where I have this dude at. All right, let's go look by name. But anyway, instead of you guys just sitting here waiting for me to scroll through, um, we got Tasmania Kid and Antagonist. Oh shoot, well that's the case. I already passed. But yeah, we got Tasmanian Kid and Antagonist coming to Transformers Earth Wars, the Bat 17. And I, if there's one that I want to work on, I want to work on this one. And I know some people who actually really love Antagonist and Tasmania Kid. Um, I'm not a huge fan. I wasn't a fan in playtest. One of the things that I wanted to see is, we started getting into this thing when we were doing like two abilities, and so you have one ability that's doing electric damage, and you got another one that's doing water damage, like and they kind of combo together, and that's cool. I just want to see them combo with other EMP and other water abilities so that you can kind of make a meta out of that. For example, I think there's a missed opportunity there. I'd love to see what we can come up with. Uh, and this is one that we pretty much are all in agreement, and it's going to change some, but I don't know to what extent yet. And so the last one we want to talk about is currently not even a 5 star. Um, so we'll have to actually do some work on it to bring it up from 4 star. But the one we want to talk about is now actually show the Autobot version because it'll get there faster. But we are going to have Chromia and Fellbat go into Bat 17. Now, this this is a bot that had its heyday. It was really heavily used on defense for a little while, but then everything got so powerful that the turrets just started getting destroyed. And I don't think I want that to be the case anymore. I think I'm going to make the turrets untargetable. But I also, if that is the case, I would like to reduce the timer on it. Perhaps that's me personally. Nobody's saying they're going to do that, but that is what I suggested. I like to see some more health. I definitely like to see some more health. I think it's a lot of ways that you can counter. You still have like Run Amok and Red Alert, and you've got Rat Trap and Vertebrake, and you have all these different ways to avoid getting stunned in this case. And I think that you got to make it a little bit more appealing. And the turret gets destroyed, I think we can get this back to being one of the primary outpost bots in the game again. Uh, but more importantly, there's another element that goes into that, and that is that Fellbat is going to be the last piece that Decepticons need for Lyle Kaiser. And Dale actually reached out to he actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know, just a heads up." He was talking to me and he was talking to Waza too, and he said, "Just a heads up, there is gonna be a 5 star Lyle Kaiser and Computron on the horizon." So I was like, "Yeah, cool, man." I was like, "I think there's a lot of work we're doing on combiners right now, considering we just got Dino King and Predaking. But yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna be down the road. Obviously, we just been talking about how we're working on 5 star Predaking, but yeah, that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to work on as well. Now is that 5 star version of Lyle Kaiser and Computron. So if anything, people are going to want to chase this bot for that. If we can make it better via rework, then that's fine. But I think it's only really two bots that you really need to take a serious. I mean, there's some that you need to take a serious look at, and Metal Hawk, and you know, um, particularly with Metal Hawk, just for bug fixes and stuff like that. But I think the ones you want to actually put work into are going to be Velbat and Chromia and Tasmania Kid and the Antagonist. And so, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to working with the batch and seeing how it goes. But let me know your opinions on the batch. Leave me something in the chat, or actually, you can write it in the comments as well, as to what kind of changes you want to see happen to any of these bots. But all right, I am going to go ahead and sign off. Uh, I'll be live streaming next week, so just make sure you come out and see me then, and I look forward to seeing you there. and I look forward to seeing you on the battlefield. Freezius out.